It's not such a long base today, not such a long paragraph. So it's very potent. So before in Parak Gimel, we were discussing the concept of the Yetzer Hara, and it's the lowest of the low, and the Nefesh Kiss is the highest of the high, and the Nefesh Kiss could refine the Nefesh Bahamis. Technically, the theme of the whole Maimar is the concept of the Hiskabros Hatzura al Chemer, that the refinedness of the Nefesh Kiss is able to refine even the lowliness of the Nefesh Bahamis. And we mentioned at the end the concept that some of the shlusim that the Nefesh Bahamis Tetzara can get a person to have is the shlus of Gaiva, that a person believes that he's something, that he's big stuff, and this feeling that a person has can ruin even someone that's very great in Torah. So we're gonna explain this a little bit now. Someone that learns Torah, and he also does Avoda Hashem. He serves Hashem in the Eismin Eitim with Torah b'derach on a case of lahatzik asasmi b'sivas v'hasviva v'azulas. And sometimes he makes mistakes in what he does. He justifies himself by saying that everything that he does wrong. Another thing that we mentioned is the person might justify his averis by saying that it's not his fault, it's the fault of his surroundings. So if he's worse than a person that doesn't learn Torah. He's worse than a person that doesn't have any conception in Avoda. Because for the simple person, you have actually a limud schos. You have a way to prescribe merit to him. Because he doesn't know Torah. Because he didn't cause his own ruination. How does he have a detriment? How did he lose his merit? By the fact that he was born a certain way. That his mind just isn't a good keli for receiving Torah. Some people, they try to learn, and they're just not able to. And it's not to his detriment that he's not able to. I mean, obviously, it would be more of a shmak, etc. We're going to discuss that in a little bit, so I don't need to get too ahead of myself. It would be more of a shmak if he was able to learn Torah. But ultimately, it's not like Hashem is going to say, you didn't learn Torah, you weren't a big masid, even though I created you, that you're not able to learn Torah so well. And therefore, it's a negative thing. No, chas v'shalom. Hashem made everyone with his intention. He has a plan for everyone. Some people, the plan is that they shouldn't know how to learn, and some people, the plan is that they should do their best, not knowing how to learn. But it's not something that it's a bad thing about him. He didn't make any choice to be born.
So Hashem can definitely make someone born not being able to learn Torah.
Yeah, something that you see, something that you observe. Not only that, sometimes a person is able to learn Torah, but Hashem puts him into a situation where he's not able to learn Torah. There's a story with Rav Figin, who supposedly, I don't know him, he's the secretary of the Friedrich Rebbe's, but he was supposedly a very hard man. There were like 2 times that he cried, and one time he said was that he went into the Friedrich Rebbe and he said that the Avoda of what they're doing is like they were trying to arrange underground schools in communist Russia, etc. And he said that what they're doing is taking so much time. He doesn't have any time to learn, any time to daven. What's going to be with him if he doesn't have time to learn? He doesn't have time to daven. And I could be getting some details of the story wrong, but this is the gist of it. And the Friedrich Rebbe started crying, and he said, "I also don't have time to learn. And I also don't have time to daven." And they both just cried like that. That they didn't have time to learn. They didn't have time to daven. It's not told too much. What he's able to do, he does. That which he is able to do, sai in speaking and sai in action, because he's not able to think too well. He's not able to think in Torah, but that which he is able to do in speaking and in action, he does. The way that he does it is with simplicity and completeness. He davens in a simple way. In any case, and he says to Hillel, even though he doesn't know what he's saying when he says to him, and he hears the learning of Mishnayos and in Yaakov and Perkei Avos. What is he supposed to do for the fact that his mind is not able to grasp these intellectual concepts. And in truth, besides for this maila of the completeness and the simplicity that you have with simple people, who that they're dominant and they're saying to him, even though they don't know what they're saying, but it's with completeness and it's with simplicity, which comes from the amunah pshuta, the simple amunah that is affixed in the heart of every Jew in his nature. Even in the avodah of avodas Hashem, the service of God, the avodah of simple people is greater than the avodah of people that learn Torah. And particularly people that learn Torah and they work in avodah shabalev, they work in service of the heart. After the fact that he doesn't understand what he's saying, he doesn't understand what he's saying in his davening and in the chapters of Tehillim, he doesn't receive any satisfaction from it. All of this that he has is completely in a way of accepting the yoke of Hashem. He does it because this is what he needs to do, but he doesn't enjoy it. He does it because this is what you do. He doesn't understand that there's any pleasure to be had in understanding what he's saying. It's not comparable at all to a Ben Torah that knows not just the explanation of the words that he's saying when he's davening, when he says the words of Tehillim, when he says the chapters of Tehillim, but he has pleasure from understanding the intellectuality or whatever it is in the words of Tefillah and in the chapters of Tehillim. And particularly someone that works with service of the heart in davening, and he's given over, he's being mispainted, he's contemplating the concepts that he's davening with great depth of understanding. He comes to a level of dvekus where he's cleaving to that which he's thinking about. This is the measure, this is the nature of people that are able to understand. When he's able to contemplate with great depth of understanding in what he's able to grasp in his mind. Then he's able to come to a great cleaving with a great pleasure. And the wisdom of a person lights up his face. And his spirit is good upon him. That is to say, he has a positive spirit. Because of the greatness of his knowledge. And not only that, but there's also the side point that people like him because they say, "Oh, look at this guy! He's such a Kuntreis. He's learning and he's davening, and so he has all of these milas." This is not so with a simple person. He doesn't even know the simple explanations of the words. Not just this, that he does not have any pleasure in this, but even more so, he has a great pain from this. From this, that he doesn't know the explanation of the words. And his heart is broken within himself from his great lowliness that he perceives himself to have. Von dem was is wissen. He's extremely herabgefallen. It's like he's like fallen. He's lowly by himself, and he feels lowly from the fact that he doesn't know. From the fact that he doesn't know what's going on. And embarrassment covers his face. And particularly when he makes a mistake in some davening, in some pasuk, or in some poetic line, that he makes a mistake because he doesn't know what they mean, he doesn't know what they're saying. And there are those, unfortunately, that would embarrass him. They would make fun of him. But nevertheless, he strengthens himself and he davens and he says Tehillim with a sweet voice. All of this is only because of the completeness that he has and the Shemayim with which he does everything with Kabbalas Ilmach Shemayim, that he receives the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. I would be remiss if I didn't say a story. There's a story that they say there was a Farbrengen that the Friedrich Rebbe had. I don't remember if it was in the Kutz Devarim, if I heard it somewhere, read it somewhere else. But the Friedrich Rebbe was once Farbrengen, and he said, as we started saying the story of the Baal Shem Tov, that in the days of the Baal Shem Tov there was a man who said the whole Tehillim 5 times every day. So one of the Chassidim kind of interjected, Rebbe, please help us understand, it's not possible to say Tehillim 5 times. So I think the Friedrich Rebbe said there was a person that worked as a stall keeper. He stalled with horses. And he said, Rebbe, please help us understand, how is it possible to say the whole Tehillim 5 times every day? So he said the whole Tehillim 5 times every day, even at every single moment that he had. Every spare moment that he had, he was saying Tehillim. So the chassid said, Rebbe, with all due respect, it's not possible. It's not possible to say the whole Tehillim 5 times every day, in every available opportunity. So the Friedrich Rebbe said he did it even while he was working in the stalls with the horses, with all of the horse manure. It was going to become manure, you could say fisi, it was going to become manure, so it was really a positive thing, but it still reeked. And he said, the chassid said, you're not allowed to say Tehillim there. So the Friedrich Rebbe said, true, he's not allowed to say Tehillim there. And he didn't know that he's not allowed to say Tehillim there. And he's not going to be judged for the fact that he didn't know that he's not allowed to say Tehillim there. But when he goes up after 120, or when he went up after 120, because this is already a while after, what they judged him for is not the fact that he said the Tehillim there, not the fact that he didn't know that he wasn't supposed to say Tehillim there, but the fact that there was one time a shir in the shul that he missed that shir in the shul. And in the shir in the shul, usually he went to I imagine usually he went to the shir, but the fact that he should have pushed himself to go to the shir, in the shir they mentioned that you're not allowed to say Tehillim when there's a bad smell around. And that's what they're going to judge him for. But safe, he was saying the whole Tehillim 5 times every day. That's a very big skos. And the Maisa, what it was is that they decided that he has to judge him out of the Maida. And Baal Shem Tov went to him to ask him if he could use his merit to save the Eden from a Kitrog that they had. So there's a very big advantage. Hashem doesn't judge people based on mamash, like the strict letter of the law. Halacha is something for us to be concerned about. It's not something that Hashem necessarily concerns himself about when it comes to judging people. If a person is doing their best, what they know, or the best of what they know to the best of their ability, that's what Hashem looks at. Now, I might kind of safe. You have a person, why should he elevate himself if he's on such a level? He needs to elevate himself. That's part of the Avoda. You need to elevate yourself in whatever way you can. But your achrayus isn't to try to get to the highest. Your achrayus is to try to go up. Hashem will look at you the way that he looks at you, and if you've reached the best that you could be, then you'll be the best that you could be. If not, then you won't. Like there's the famous line with Rav Zosha of Anipoli that he said, I'm not concerned that when I pass away, they're going to ask me, Zosha, why weren't you like Moshe Rabbeinu? Why wasn't I like Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu was much greater than me. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to speak to Hashem face to face. He was just a completely different person, a completely different barrier. That's not what I'm scared of. What I'm scared of is that when I pass away, they're going to ask me, Zosha, why weren't you more like Zosha could have been? That's the real thing to be concerned about. So we're going to continue this for 4 more days, and then we're going to take a complete sharp turn, I believe.
Well, it's almost...
I have to tune into my mind.
Like, it almost says that if you just don't study halakha, like if you just don't know, then you can get away with a lot of things.
Oh, well, yeah, but then you're not going to be getting away with the fact that you didn't study halakha.
But all this, but you can be doing one of their, like you say, he missed the shiur where they talked about that. Okay, so he did one thing, then every day he was doing, 5 times over.
But if you do it because you're thinking that you're going to get away with it, because then you're making it worse. It's not just that you didn't go to the halakha shiur.
So you shouldn't have learned this first.
What?
You shouldn't have learned this first. You should have just done it.
Yeah, this. When you get into life, the more that you live, and this is something that you're slightly older than me, but as you go on, I'm sure that people with whiter beards can say better. But as you go on in life, you realize the more time that you live, the more mistakes you're forced to make. There's more things that you just can't you can't handle. There's more like every day that you live, there's another person that you might offend, and there's another avera that you might do, etc., etc. And as things go on, so you Taka, maybe you really messed up by coming to the shir. you would have had to deal with that with the Eivashir. Maybe it would have been easier, but ultimately you wouldn't have been the ben that you could have been. And now you're messed up for life. Now there's no going back.
Sure.